Deep in the jungles of southern Costa Rica, scattered across remote river deltas and hidden beneath layers of earth, lie objects that challenge everything we think we know about ancient civilizations. These are not natural formations shaped by wind and water over millions of years. They are perfectly spherical stones, some weighing up to 15 tons, crafted by human hands more than 1,000 years ago. Their precision rivals modern engineering, yet they were created without metal tools, without wheels, and without any written instructions passed down through generations. The stone spheres of Costa Rica remain one of archaeology's most enduring mysteries. How did an ancient people create geometric perfection on such a massive scale? Why did they invest countless hours of labor into shaping these monumental objects? And perhaps most intriguingly, what message were they trying to leave for the future? The story begins in the 1930s, when workers from the United Fruit Company were clearing dense jungle to create banana plantations in the Diquís Delta region. As bulldozers tore through centuries of vegetation and soil, workers began encountering massive round stones embedded in the earth. Some were small enough to hold in one hand, while others stood taller than a grown man. The spheres were so perfectly round that workers initially believed they must be natural formations, perhaps volcanic rocks smoothed by ancient rivers. But as more spheres emerged from the jungle floor, it became clear these were no accident of nature. Someone had deliberately carved these objects with extraordinary precision. The discovery sparked immediate fascination, but also destruction. Rumors spread among the plantation workers that the spheres might contain hidden gold, a treasure left behind by a lost civilization. Driven by greed, workers began drilling holes into the spheres and blasting them apart with dynamite. Several were destroyed before authorities intervened to protect what remained. Today, more than 300 stone spheres have been documented across southern Costa Rica, though many more likely existed before their discovery and subsequent destruction. They range dramatically in size, from tiny specimens just a few centimeters in diameter to colossal giants measuring over 2.5 meters across. The largest spheres weigh approximately 15 tons, comparable to the weight of several elephants. What makes them truly remarkable is not just their size, but their near-perfect spherical shape. Many are accurate to within just a few millimeters of being geometrically perfect spheres, a level of precision that would be challenging even with modern tools. The spheres are attributed to the Diquí culture, a sophisticated civilization that flourished in southern Costa Rica between roughly 500 and 1500 CE. The Diquís people built their society in the fertile delta of the Teraba River, where they developed complex social hierarchies led by powerful chiefs. They were skilled farmers who cultivated crops and built elaborate settlements featuring artificial mounds, paved plazas, and monumental architecture. They created intricate gold jewelry using advanced metalworking techniques and produced pottery decorated with images of local wildlife like crocodiles and tropical birds. But it is the stone spheres that represent their most enduring legacy. These massive objects were carved primarily from gabbro, a dense igneous rock similar to granite. The raw material came from hills located several kilometers away from where the finished spheres were eventually placed. This means the Diquís people not only had to shape these enormous stones, but also transport them across difficult terrain without the benefit of wheeled vehicles or large domesticated animals capable of pulling such weight. The construction process itself was a remarkable feat of ancient engineering. Research suggests that the spheres were created by first selecting natural boulders of suitable size, then hammering them repeatedly with other dense rocks to gradually chip away material and form a rough spherical shape. This initial shaping required immense labor and careful planning. Workers would have needed to rotate the sphere constantly, removing material from all sides evenly to maintain symmetry. Once the basic sphere was formed, the surface was meticulously polished using sand, gradually smoothing away imperfections until the stone achieved its characteristic rounded finish. The precision required for this process cannot be overstated. Creating a near-perfect sphere demands not just physical skill, but conceptual understanding. The artisans needed to visualize the final three-dimensional form and work systematically to achieve it, constantly measuring and adjusting their work. Some spheres still bear visible marks from the hammering process, offering glimpses into the painstaking techniques employed by their creators. The spheres were placed in specific locations throughout Diki settlements, often arranged in linear patterns or geometric alignments. Archaeological evidence suggests they were positioned along the approaches to the homes of chiefs and in public plazas, serving as symbols of authority and power. At one major site called Finca 6, over 60 spheres have been found, many still in their original alignments after more than 1,000 years. These arrangements hint at careful planning and deliberate symbolic meaning. But what did the spheres actually represent? This question has puzzled researchers for decades, and the answer remains frustratingly elusive. The Diki's culture left no written records explaining their creation or purpose. After the Spanish conquest in the 16th century, the culture essentially vanished. Spanish explorers who arrived in the region made no mention of encountering stone spheres or the people who created them, suggesting the culture had already collapsed or dispersed by that time. Without written accounts or oral traditions passed down to modern times, researchers are left to interpret meaning from archaeological context alone. Various theories have been proposed over the years. Some researchers suggest the spheres may have represented celestial bodies like the sun or moon, serving as part of an astronomical calendar system. Others believe they were primarily symbols of political power, with larger and more perfect spheres indicating greater status for the chief whose residence they marked. The deliberate placement in alignments suggests they may have held spiritual or ceremonial significance, perhaps marking sacred pathways or representing cosmological concepts. Local indigenous groups have their own explanations rooted in mythology. The Bribri people, who still live in parts of Costa Rica, tell stories of Tara, the god of thunder, who used a giant blowpipe to shoot stone balls at the gods of wind and hurricanes, driving them from the land. While this legend may not explain the actual creation of the spheres, it demonstrates how these mysterious objects have captured human imagination across generations. What we do know is that the Diki's people invested enormous resources into creating these objects. Moving a 15-ton sphere even a short distance would have required dozens of workers and sophisticated knowledge of leverage and transportation. Shaping such an object to near-perfect roundness would have taken weeks or months of continuous labor. The fact that hundreds were created suggests they held profound importance to Diki society, justifying the tremendous effort required. The spheres that survived into the modern era faced new challenges. After their discovery, many were removed from their original locations and repurposed as lawn decorations for wealthy Costa Ricans, or placed in front of government buildings. This displacement destroyed crucial archaeological context that might have helped researchers understand their original purpose. Only a small percentage remain in their original positions today, making sites like Finca 6 particularly valuable for ongoing research. In 2014, the remaining spheres and their associated archaeological sites received international recognition when UNESCO designated them as a World Heritage Site. This designation acknowledged their outstanding universal value and committed to their preservation for future generations. The spheres have since become a powerful symbol of Costa Rican cultural heritage, appearing on currency, in museums, and in public spaces throughout the country. Modern technology continues to reveal new insights about these ancient creations. Advanced scanning and modeling techniques allow researchers to measure their sphericity with unprecedented precision and study the patterns of tool marks still visible on their surfaces. Each new discovery adds another piece to the puzzle of how they were made, even as their ultimate purpose remains mysterious. The stone spheres of Costa Rica stand as testament to human ingenuity and the universal drive to create lasting monuments. They remind us that sophisticated understanding of geometry, planning, and engineering existed in cultures that left no written records, challenging assumptions about the development of human knowledge. They represent the vision of people who could conceptualize perfect forms and possessed the skill and determination to bring those visions into physical reality. More than 1,000 years after their creation, these silent spheres continue to pose questions that have no easy answers. They are witnesses to a vanished world, monuments to forgotten purposes, and enduring symbols of mystery that connect us to ancestors we will never fully understand.